Hi there, I'm Andrea Koppel, and it's time for coffee, the podcast where you get to hear firsthand what the jobs and careers that interest you the most are really like. Hey there, Java junkies. Welcome to another K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. By the way, K-Cups come in 3 sizes, single, double, and triple shots, or roughly 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes in length. So if you don't have time to throw back an entire caffeinated career conversation, these K-Cup mini episodes of T4C can give you a quick caffeinated fix, whether you're on the go or you only have a few minutes to binge. So grab your mug and take a chug, because it's time for a caffeinated career triple shot K-Cup with my guest, David Rosenstein. I want to flashback to when you were at the University of Maryland, because you were super active in extracurriculars, especially in the marketing space. You were vice president of marketing for the Smith Undergraduate Student Association. You became president of the American Marketing Association. Was that the College Park chapter?
Yes, that was the College Park chapter.
Got it. And you also participated in a whole bunch of marketing and sales related conferences and summits. How did you choose what to participate in? And were you always, I don't know if I would use the word intentional, but was that a deliberate decision on your part to pick the associations and the conferences and the summits in order to be able to quantify the impact of what you were doing as a marketer?
Absolutely. One of the things that I very quickly realized is I can't say I'm a marketing student and doors will go, wow, let us open for you. You can have any job you want. I very quickly realized that I was one of thousands of students across the country. And so for me, the first thing that I did to really try and stand out was take advantage of any leadership opportunity that was presented. Now, here's the thing. I want to make very clear that I didn't do every single conference application that I could. I wasn't applying to join every single club or leadership position that was available. I was really, really, really selective, and something that people will say, they'll look at my profile and go, oh my gosh, you did so many things when you were on campus. But the reality is I only did one thing at a time. And I was very clear around, I'm going to do this one thing and I'm going to try and do it very well. And then before I move on to my next activity, I want to figure out what it is about my last job that I liked and what it is about my last role that I didn't like, before picking an organization or a space that I can really thrive in. So for me, it's very easy to look at my LinkedIn profile and say, David has always known he wanted to do marketing, but I'm not in marketing anymore. I'm really in sales. And the reality is that my pivot was so intentional and clear, but it wasn't something that looked really drastic, because from day one and from the get-go, I was always very adamant around, I'm going to do things that provide me exceptional joy. And if they don't provide me joy, I'm going to leave them. So the very first thing I did, I went to Maryland. I decided to join as the VP of marketing of a club. No, I'm lying. The very first thing I did was I became a tour guide. I became a tour guide in my second week of being on campus. You can imagine how disappointed the families were when they realized their tour guide was barely even a freshman. So that was...
Oh, no. Were they really disappointed?
I have to say, when I said I'm a freshman, I definitely got a couple of eye rolls. So it just meant I had to work that much harder to make my tours stand out and that much more exciting for families. But luckily, I realized from that, I love being in a role where I'm presenting and I love public speaking. And that was something I already knew, but it reinforced it. So as I joined this other role as VP of marketing for SUSA, which was the business school student government, I quickly realized I love being on teams and leading teams. And then I decided to reinforce that a little deeper by saying, what would happen if I could be sort of at the top of an organization and drive the strategy and get to lead even more people than I was before? And it was just one thing after another that slowly helped me realize I love coaching people, I love managing people, and I love giving people the solutions that they need, which ultimately led me to realize sales is problem solving and career consulting is helping students reach their goals. So I got to take a bit and piece of every single thing that I did into the role that I have now. And I credit that to the clarity and conviction that I have for knowing my future right now.
Incredible. I think this is a wonderful learning moment. And I'm going to add in something that I got to experience from a guest whose Time for Coffee episode hasn't yet been released. It may have been released by the time this episode goes live. He's just an extraordinary person. His name is Steve Rimland. And what Steve started in the music industry. And as a music student, he went to Juilliard and then he went to college and went to a super music focused, very intense college and studied music theory and composition and all of these things and ended up going into the music industry. I'm going to fast forward to today. Today, he is a serial startup entrepreneur, very successful entrepreneur. And one of the things one of his music teachers taught him, he said, Steve, there are only 12 notes in music. There are only 12 notes. It's how you arrange them that makes the music.
So powerful.
So powerful. And I think that applies to what you've done, David, because even though you majored in marketing, even though you were focused in marketing in college, you're just rearranging the notes to go into sales.
Ooh, that was so, my hand is over my heart and I am like pursing my lips like,
but
that rang deep.
All right. But this is what's going to happen to our listeners. You're just going to be rearranging the notes. Another way of putting it is your hard skills, your technical skills, and your soft skills. You're not locked in. The way that I describe this is your major is not the tiny house that you're going to be forced to live in for the rest of your life. It is the foundation of a professional skyscraper that you're building with each new job and each new career, adding a new floor in the skyscraper. And look at what David is doing.
I think that is so clear. And so many students feel so locked in to their majors, and frankly, it's not always their fault. I mean, I think about the people that I was exposed to, the finance students of the world. Heck, they have to come up with their jobs and sign offers over a year in advance for internships and job positions. And that's crazy. And so there's so much pressure to get it right and get it right early. But the reality is, and I think you just embodied this so clearly with your metaphor, it's not too late to change ever. But it takes courage. And if you are willing to seek that out and say, you know what, I'm going to put a pause on this direction that I have now, not to completely pivot, but just to explore, that takes courage, and know that there are people applauding you for even considering it.
Oh my God, 100%. This is it. This is it, my friends. We are all afraid. We are all afraid. I've been in 4 industries and I've pivoted and I've done it. You know, it is scary. It is scary, but that is where the joy is. That is where the greatest learning is. And that is where you are able to discover what lights you up. What lights you up? Lean into what you're afraid to do. Thanks for tuning in to this K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. If you want to listen to our entire caffeinated career conversation, please check out the show notes for this episode. Thanks so much for listening to Time for Coffee, where the professionals in the jobs that most interest you always have time to grab coffee 24/7, no matter where you live. I have one quick favor to ask you. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Time for Coffee. Thanks so much.